The NBA's MVP award has been a source of heated debates for decades. Is the MVP simply the best player in the league? Should it be the player with the best stats? Or is it the one who contributes the most to winning? Every year, fans, analysts, and even players themselves argue over what truly defines an MVP. Some seasons, a player might dominate the stat sheet but fail to win enough games. Other times, a great player benefits from a strong supporting cast, making it hard to separate individual success from team performance. The criteria has always felt vague, until now. Introducing the SOUP MVP criteria. It is a structured, data-driven formula designed to eliminate the bias and objectively determine the league's most valuable player. This formula that I've created it combines team success and individual performance in a weighted formula to provide the most accurate MVP rankings possible. But by the end of the video, you'll not only understand how it works, but you'll see how this method changes the way we look at past MVP races and how it ranks this season's best players. Now the real question is, what really makes an MVP? And I know what you might be thinking. What stats are going into your criteria, Sue? Well, let me tell you. I have two major categories: team success stats and individual performance stats. And in the team success category, I have them weighted at a 60% to the individual stats, 40%. And in the team success, we've got win shares, which is the highest weighted, offensive rating, defensive rating, PI, which is player estimated impact, assist percentage, EPM. In the individual performance category, we have box plus minus, VORP, which is value over replacement player, usage rate, PER, which is a player's efficiency rating, true shooting percentages, and field goal percentage. I believe that the MVP is not just the best player on the best team, it is the player that is the most valuable and most impactful to their team. Without them, they wouldn't be anywhere near where they are right now. That is what I'm looking for in SOUP's MVP criteria. Now let me show you how it works. Different stats like win shares, PER, and true shooting percentages are on different scales, making it difficult to compare them directly. To ensure fairness, I normalize them by converting them to a 0 to 1 scale so that they all have the same weight initially. For example, if the highest win shares is 13.2 and the lowest is 3.5, a player with 7.8 win shares would be transformed into 0.47 is his normalized value. So to make all stats comparable, no matter their original scale, eliminating biases where one stat might naturally be larger than another. This leads us into our second step, which is multiplying each stat by its weight. Now, not all stats are equally important. Since team success is the biggest factor in my eyes, which is why I weighted it 60% for that total category, I give stats like win shares, offensive and defensive rating, and assist percentages bigger weights than individual stats like PER, box plus minus, and usage rate have smaller weights. This ensures that players who impact winning the most are properly rewarded. For example, if win shares has a weight of 15%, I take the normalized value and multiply it by 0.15. If PER has a weight of 5%, I take its normalized value and multiply it by 0.05. Once every stat has been weighted properly, the final step is adding them all up to get the MVP score. The higher the MVP score, the stronger a player's case for MVP. Before I reveal this season's MVP rankings, let's look at how the SOUP criteria stacks up to the last two seasons. This graph charts the MVP scores for the 2022-2023 season MVP race. All I remember from that year is the battle between Joel Embiid and Jokic, and how it was swung late in the MVP race by Kendrick Perkins when he said this statement, and I quote, "When it comes down to guys winning MVP since 1990, it's only 3 guys that won the MVP that wasn't top 10 in scoring." Do you know who those 3 guys were? Steve Nash, Nikola Jokic, and Dirk Nowitzki. Now, what do those guys have in common? I'll let it sit there and marinate. You think about it. It's interesting to see how the numbers in my stat categories compare to what Park has been saying and what JJ Redick was saying. And now let's take a look at the 2023-2024 MVP rankings. And who do we see at the top once again? It is Nikola Jokic, followed by Luka Doncic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. According to my stat, Nikola Jokic should be going for his 5th straight MVP this season. Absolutely absurd. But let's take a look at this year's MVP rankings based on the SOUP criteria. Towards the bottom, you've got guys like Trae Young, Jaren Jackson Jr., Anthony Edwards, and Cade Cunningham. And towards the middle, you got Sengun, Karl Anthony Towns, Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. In the top 6 players is Domantas Sabonis, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and runner-up for the 2025 NBA MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And that means Nikola Jokic 5-peats as NBA MVP with his 5th consecutive MVP trophy, according to the SOUP MVP criteria. Jokic's dominance continues. His ability to control the game, make his teammates better, and deliver wins places him at the top yet again. But let's take a step back. Do these rankings align with how you guys see the MVP race? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, the MVP debate is one of the most exciting conversations in basketball behind the GOAT debate. Whether it's based on stats, impact, or narrative, everyone has their own view. The SOUP MVP criteria isn't about eliminating debate. It's about giving us a stronger foundation for the discussion. It's about making sure we truly recognize who had the greatest season based on what matters most: winning and performance. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, because at the end of the day, MVP isn't just a trophy, it's a legacy. God, I love this sport.